Good day, colleagues. I hope everyone is well. I feel greatly honored to have been granted this opportunity to present or share my story in this platform of online presentations for the 14th ICTEL conference. The work to be shared is co-authored by myself, Bulelwa, Makena, and my colleague Mbahla, with regards to the perceptions of South African secondary school English language teachers on code switching approach towards language development. Now coming to the background. Language, with its characteristic of communication used by an individual nation or community, plays a significant role in developing human personality. Teachers offering additional languages in bilingual classrooms are faced with a difficult task to engage on code switching, as learners emanate from different linguistic constituencies. These are the learners' colleagues that were in the schools under study. They came from different linguistic constituencies with different languages that they talked, although their main home language was isiXhosa, but within that isiXhosa there were some sub languages. And at the same time then, English language being a medium of instruction in such schools, yet learners emanated from such diverse backgrounds. A big problem for the English teachers indeed. As authors, we premise this current inquiry on the assumption that as a resource for language development, code switching in diverse classrooms is a real necessity. Coming to the theoretical framework. Underpinning this study is the perspective on bilingual development by Malakoff and Hakuta in 1991. This approach by these researchers allows bilingual speakers to share information as they switch within the two languages. This being the case also in the schools that were studied, because we observed that the learners study two languages, the other one being their home language, in this instance Xhosa, and then an additional language, which was the medium for instruction across the greatest percentage of the subjects offered in the curriculum, being the English language. Then in this study, teachers seemed to resort on switching to learners' home language whenever new or difficult words were to be unpacked. The framework helped us to focus on specific variables, specifically for this little piece of investigation. The two variables being code switching and language development. Now coming to the methodologies that we used as the authors of this paper. The nature of the approach that we used was a qualitative research A qualitative research method has an objective of collecting facts about human behavior, leading to verification and extension of theories. The design that we used was a case study design which provided tools for us as authors to study complex phenomena within their context, more so because we could not consider the case without the context of teaching, learning, and classroom settings. It would have been impossible for us to have a true picture of the perceptions of secondary school English language teachers in relation to code switching approach towards language development without considering the context within which the schooling situation occurred. The participants, colleagues that we used for the study were randomly selected. Now coming to the population. The population for the study entails all language teachers across the district that was studied. But specifically for this paper, we targeted a population of 5 secondary school language teachers whom we randomly selected, as I have previously alluded to, from the population of language teachers across the whole district, intended to present the larger group, as using the entire group was generally not feasible for us due to logistics challenges. The instrument that we used as authors to collect data were the semi-structured interviews. This form of instrument helped us to share with our participants. They shared with us actually their human experiences of teaching a foreign language in such diverse environments. The data that we collected was analyzed through content analysis, whereby we engaged on grouping data into categories and classifications, and then the end result being the themes that emerged. Our findings, colleagues, have been classified into 3 as per the emerging themes. The first being professional development logistics. With regards to capacitation, participants reported limited or no training whatsoever on how to handle classes with learners whose home language differed from the language of instruction. And to curb the predicament they found themselves in, teachers designed own strategies of translating some English words, terms or phrases into isiXhosa. These teachers reported on spending most time on translations, code switching, and assisting learners to interact with bilingual dictionaries, thus resuming time for engaging with the actual content of the lesson learned. Now coming to the next finding, colleagues. with regards to policy making. As the previous finding divulged issues on non-training nor proper handling of bilingual classrooms where code switching occurs, this leads us as authors of this manuscript to reveal that we found some essence for policymakers to take into cognizance bilingual realities. Redesigning several policies pertaining language learning can stimulate positivism towards multilingual learning. This finding is actually in line with the curriculum and assessment policy statement, the acronym being CAPS, for learning and teaching in the South African schools, as this policy advocates for transforming the curriculum previously bestowed upon the inhabitants, thereby granting permission for home language teaching in specified grades. And then now, colleagues, coming to the last finding on limited interaction in English language as a teaching and learning medium. Another finding was centered around limited communication in English language between learners and teachers. Learners were observed to be experiencing difficulties communicating with their teachers in instances when code switching was prohibited. As such, English language teachers argued that as they normally resort to translating into isiXhosa, this being the learner's home language, they noticed conducive learning environments as learners could easily engage and debate issues without displaying attitudes relating to shyness, nervousness, and uncertainty. On the other hand, when learners begin to perform well in English, hence, colleagues, the greatest percentage of the subjects studied in the schools that we studied, the medium is English language. So now, when learners begin to perform well in English as a language, indications of improved academic progression are displayed. This was reported by the participants, being teachers, colleagues. What implications then does this have? As articulated in the discussions above, not embarking on using the only prescribed language of teaching and learning, in this case, the medium in question being English language, indeed proved as an approach that teachers can utilize towards English language enhancement. It stemmed out from the discussions that for teachers who embarked on code switching strategy in their bilingual classrooms, learners indicated greater acquisition of English dialect, which is not their home language. As authors of this manuscript, we therefore support the infusion of home languages to enhance learning, thus catering for learners from diverse linguistic constituencies. And this implication and recommendation actually is in line with what is being alluded to in the South African Constitution, that all the 11 South African languages be made official and be used in schools as languages of learning and teaching. Now coming to the very last slide of my presentation, colleagues, on the references. This is a sample, colleagues, that for the purposes of this study, indeed, all our work was underpinned through citations and through the works of the other researchers. And whilst embarking on selecting the sources to be used, we tried our level best to choose or select the most latest sources. Due to the interest of time, colleagues, I think without wasting much time, I won't go through reading these sources one by one, but let me just read the names of the authors and the years. De Bradley and Oyman in 2015, Matt 2013, Batla and Makena 2020, Nucleus 2017. All these sources and the entire sources are reflective in the actual paper that was submitted. Once more, to you, Chair of the session, I highly appreciate the opportunity that you've given me, and as well as to the audience, the researchers. Thank you very much, colleagues, for lending me an ear whilst I was sharing our story. Thank you.